You've been performing for so long, you've started believing it's who you are. Smiling when all you want to do is cry. Agreeing when your soul wants to scream. Giving when you're already empty. Succeeding while secretly feeling hollow inside. Somewhere along the line, you learned that simply being yourself wasn't safe. That truth was dangerous. That softness was weakness. That love was something you had to earn. So you became someone else. Someone safer. Someone more likable. More responsible. More impressive. But never more free. Carl Jung believed most people wear a mask for so long, they forget it's a mask at all. They confuse performance with personality, adaptation with authenticity, and by the time they realize it, they've vanished inside a role they never chose. In this video, we're going to expose the hidden price of constant performance. We'll explore why so many of us feel disconnected, anxious, or invisible, even when life appears successful on the outside. We'll look at Jung's idea of the persona, Kierkegaard's concept of despair, and Erich Fromm's insights about freedom and fear. Because here's the truth. You will never be free until you stop performing. Let's begin. Every day, there's a quiet performance unfolding. You wake up and slip into a role. The high achiever, the caretaker, the funny one, the strong one, the agreeable one. You adjust your words, your tone, your energy, constantly scanning the room for cues. What do people want from you? What will they reject? What's safest to show? And you respond, not as your true self, but as the version of you that feels safest in the moment. It happens so quickly you barely notice. You say yes when you mean no. You laugh when anxiety coils in your chest. You apologize for things that were never your fault. You shrink so others can feel comfortable. You perform. And the painful truth is, you're probably excellent at it. So good that people adore you for it. They praise you for it. They reward you for it. But here's the tragedy. What they love is the character, not you. Carl Jung called this mask the persona, the social face we wear so we'll be accepted, admired, or left alone. He wrote, "The persona is that which in reality one is not, but which oneself as well as others think one is." The persona isn't evil. We all need roles to navigate life, to belong in society. The danger starts when we become fused with the role, when we forget it's a mask at all. And that usually begins in childhood. You learn that love comes with conditions, that if you cry too much, you're dramatic. If you speak your mind, you're difficult. If you fall short, you're a disappointment. So you begin trimming yourself down, clipping away the parts that feel too big, hiding the parts that feel too raw. You become polite instead of honest, productive instead of peaceful, charming instead of real. You trade authenticity to avoid abandonment, and slowly over the years, the mask becomes your face. Søren Kierkegaard called this state despair, not mere sadness, but a crisis of the soul, the despair of living as someone you're not. He wrote, "The greatest hazard of all, losing oneself can occur very quietly in the world, as if it were nothing at all. We perform to survive, to be loved, to keep the peace. But what begins as adaptation slowly transforms into disconnection from others and from ourselves. You drift through life feeling unseen, misunderstood, hollow. People praise your achievements, yet you feel like a stranger living someone else's story. You keep wondering, why doesn't this feel like me? And the answer is painfully simple, because it's not. It's the version of you crafted to be acceptable, but never meant to be whole. Why do we keep performing long after we've outgrown the need? Because the fear never really left. The fear of being rejected, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being too much. You worry that if you stop performing, people will vanish, that your truth will destroy everything you've built, that no one will love the real you if they finally see it. So you stay in the role. You keep playing the character, even though it drains you, even though it empties you, even though it kills something genuine inside you. You'd rather be admired for a false self than risk being abandoned for your truth. But here's the harsh reality. You're already abandoned by yourself, and that is the deeper wound. Erich Fromm believed modern humans are terrified of freedom, not because we don't desire it, but because we have no idea who we are without the masks, structures, and performances we've built around ourselves. He wrote, "The more a person is content with the role he is supposed to play, the less is he a person." Fromm called this phenomenon the escape from freedom. We claim we crave authenticity, liberation, truth. Yet when the moment finally arrives, we flinch. Because freedom demands responsibility, it demands choice. It means standing alone. It means being seen without the script. So instead, we run into performance, into control, into perfectionism, into familiar roles, even when they feel false. Because to be real is to be vulnerable. And vulnerability feels terrifying when all you've ever known is rejection. Performance is seductive. It brings approval. It wins success. It offers security. But it comes with a hidden cost. And that cost is your soul. You lose touch with your own needs. You no longer know what you want, only what others expect from you. You forget the feeling of true rest, of silence, of being held simply for who you are, not for what you provide. You become a product, a persona, a projection, and even in a crowded room you feel utterly alone because no one truly knows you. How could they? You haven't let them see. And in the quiet moments, it catches up to you. That deep ache, that silent loneliness, that grief for the life you might have lived, if only you'd been allowed to be real. You might not realize it, but these are signs that the performance is still running your life. You feel uneasy when conversations fall silent, so you rush to fill the space. You agree with opinions you don't believe, just to avoid conflict. You feel guilty whenever you try to rest, as though you should always be doing more. You constantly wonder, am I doing enough? Even when you're utterly exhausted, you fear disappointing others more than betraying yourself. You struggle to cry, even when you're overwhelmed. You smile automatically, even when you're hurting inside. These aren't simply personality traits. They're defense mechanisms, habits forged to help you survive disconnection. But here's the truth. You are allowed to unlearn them. Here's the hard truth. The mask you wear isn't protecting you. It's hiding you. It might feel safe. It might feel necessary. You may have even convinced yourself it's who you really are. But masks are designed to conceal, not to reveal. And the longer you wear one, the more distant you become from what's underneath. And what lies beneath the mask is you. Not the curated version, not the socially acceptable version, not the polished, filtered, always smiling version, but the real you, the you who is messy and magnificent, flawed and full of feeling, raw, honest, tender, exhausted, still standing. The you who is brave, not because you're never afraid, but because you keep showing up anyway. The you who's been carrying the weight of expectations for years and is quietly longing to put it all down. The real you doesn't need to impress anyone. They don't need permission to exist. They don't need constant validation to feel worthy. Because underneath all the layers of pretending, you were always enough. Carl Jung, the great depth psychologist, believed that healing doesn't come from becoming someone new. It comes from remembering who you truly are, before the world told you who you should be, before the shame, before the rejection, before the roles, before the praise that came with conditions. Your true self is not lost. It's not broken. It's not gone. It's simply buried. Beneath years of performance, beneath the fear of not being accepted, beneath a lifetime of messages that taught you to trade authenticity for approval. But it's still there, waiting, watching, hoping you'll come back. You may catch glimpses of it in quiet moments, in the sudden ache in your chest, in the tears you can't explain, in the strange relief of saying something honest, even if it scares you. Those moments, that's your real self trying to break through the mask. It's the soul whispering, "Remember me." And here's the beautiful thing. The moment you stop clinging to the mask, even just for a second, you begin the journey home. It won't happen overnight. You've worn that mask for years. It protected you once, but now it's suffocating you. It's okay to take it off slowly. It's okay to feel terrified without it. But one truth at a time, one brave breath at a time, you can return, not to the version of you the world wanted, but to the one who existed before the world got loud. And that is where your healing begins. You don't need to burn your life down to find yourself. You don't need to quit your job, disappear into the mountains, or reinvent your identity overnight. You just need to start telling the truth. Not the loud, dramatic kind of truth. Not the kind that demands a spotlight or causes a scene. Just quiet, honest truths. Tiny rebellions of honesty. Whispers you allow yourself to finally hear. Start small. Start inward. Start here. I don't actually want this. This conversation is draining me. I'm scared to say no, but I need to. I'm tired of pretending. I want to be seen. These sentences may seem simple, but they carry the weight of your freedom, because every time you speak one, every time you allow your inner voice to reach the surface, you chip away at the performance. You soften the mask. You come home to yourself. Stopping the performance doesn't mean you have to become someone else. It means you slowly stop being who you aren't. It's learning to notice the moments when you're shape-shifting, when you're laughing at things that don't feel funny, agreeing to things you don't want to do, smiling when your soul feels hollow. It's about building a life where you don't have to hide your truth just to belong. Create spaces where performance isn't required, where you're not measured by your usefulness, your productivity, or your image, where you can just be. Find or build relationships where masks aren't necessary, where your no is respected, where your needs aren't seen as inconvenient, where you don't have to earn your right to rest. Moments where silence is welcome, and truth doesn't need to be edited, because real connection begins where performance ends, and intimacy only grows in the soil of truth. But most importantly, be that space for yourself. Stop trying to be good all the time. Stop trying to say the right thing, feel the right feeling, or be the version of yourself that makes everyone else comfortable. Start trying to be real, raw, unpolished, human. Let yourself be angry without guilt. Let yourself be sad without apology. Let yourself be excited, afraid, unsure, without editing it into something more acceptable. The truth is, the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more honest ones. More people willing to tell the truth of their experience, without a filter. More people willing to show up as they are, not as who they think they should be. Because when you stop performing, you start living, you start breathing, you start feeling again. You reconnect to your body, to your instincts, to the soft whispers of your inner knowing, the one that always knew what was right for you, even when you didn't listen. That's where freedom lives. Not in control, not in image, not in being everything for everyone, but in presence, in the messy, honest, ordinary now. Freedom lives in saying, I don't have all the answers. I'm still figuring it out. I'm not okay today, and that's okay. It lives in reclaiming your time, your boundaries, your energy, your voice. And once you taste that kind of truth, the kind that doesn't require applause, you'll wonder how you ever survived on performance. So if you're tired, if you feel like you've been performing your life instead of living it, begin here, with one truth, one honest sentence, one breath where you don't pretend, and then another, and another, until one day you look around and realize you've built a life that no longer requires a mask, a life rooted in truth, not performance, not perfection, but presence. Carl Jung didn't believe that personal growth was about becoming better. He believed it was about becoming whole, not more polished, not more acceptable, but more real. He called this journey individuation, a process of becoming who you truly are by integrating all the hidden, fragmented, and rejected parts of yourself. Your light, your darkness, your wounds, your longings, your rage, your shame, your joy, and your wildness. The things you've tried to hide to be loved, the parts you silence to belong, the dreams you shelve to stay safe. Individuation is not self-improvement, it is self-recovery. You are not a project to be fixed, you are a soul to be remembered. And the very first step, you must stop performing. You have to step off the stage of your life, the one where you've memorized the lines, worn the right mask, and kept the audience comfortable. You have to be brave enough to set the script down, to walk away from the applause, and to ask a question most people avoid their whole lives. Who am I when no one's watching? Sit with it. Don't rush. The silence that follows might feel unbearable at first. You will feel fear because the mask has protected you. You will feel guilt because you were taught the truth is selfish. You may even feel grief for all the years you abandoned yourself to be accepted. But then, something will shift. A new feeling will quietly arise beneath the noise. Relief, because pretending is exhausting, keeping up appearances is soul-splitting, and deep down, you already know. You were never meant to live your life for an audience. You are allowed to be messy. You are allowed to be uncertain, inconsistent, and still becoming. You're allowed to take up space without justification, to ask for what you need, not because you earned it, but because you exist. You are allowed to be loved, not for your performance, not for being useful, not for being perfect, but for your presence. That is what real freedom feels like, and it begins the moment you stop performing. You do not need to become someone else to be enough. You only need to return to who you've always been. Before the world told you to shrink, before you learned to pretend, before you started apologizing for your truth. The path of individuation is not easy. You will lose relationships. You will outgrow roles. You will disappoint the expectations others had for you. But what you gain is your soul, and nothing is worth more than that. If something in this video stirred you, if your chest tightened or your eyes welled up, don't ignore it. That ache you feel, that's your true self knocking, and it's time to answer. So let me ask you, what role are you ready to take off? What truth have you been afraid to say out loud? Share it in the comments. There's power in naming what you're shedding. There's healing in being witnessed. And if you're ready to walk this path of radical awareness, subscribe. Because this journey isn't just about self-help tips, it's about self-return. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. The next video will guide you deeper into the truths you've buried and the freedom you've been quietly craving. The road is long. It won't always be pretty, but it will be yours. And in the end, that's what this life is really about. Until next time, keep shining, not to be seen, but to see.